Hello, my dear students. Welcome to my science class. So, students, today we will start with the chapter Soil. It is a very important chapter from class 7 science book. So, let us start the chapter. So, natural resources are the substances which come from natural environment, along with several natural resources like river, mountains, plants, animals, minerals. Soil is one of the most important natural resource. Now, plants need soil to grow. Microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, microscopic algae, and protozoa, they live in the soil. There are a number of small animals, insects, which also live in soil. That is why soil is a very important part of our environment. Now students, different type of soil support different kinds of crops. We know that soil is required for agriculture, and this agriculture in turn provides food, clothes and shelter for all living organisms. Without agriculture, the food, shelter and clothing requirement cannot be met at all. Now let us see few of the importances of soil. Firstly, it holds the root of the plants. That means the plant is erect, or the plant requires the support, and that support is provided by the soil. Second, the soil allows the growth of the plant. How it allows the growth of plant? The roots absorb water and minerals from the soil which are required for the growth of plant. Now there are a number of microorganisms that live in the soil. Now the next importance is underground water, which is used for various purposes, and soil is also used as a building material and in the pottery industry. Now, what are the functions of a healthy soil? So, a healthy soil regulates water flow. All the rivers, they flow on the surface of soil. A healthy soil sustains plant and animal life. It filters all the potential pollutants. All the pollutants are filtered through the soil. Next is it supports structures. All the buildings, they have a foundation, and that foundation is made on the surface of soil. Now next is the soil is the part of environment which cycles the different nutrients. Now students, we can define soil as a mixture of rock particles and humus. The soil is the uppermost layer of Earth's surface, which is formed by the breakdown of rocks over thousands of years by a process called weathering. Now, what is weathering? Weathering is the process of breaking down of rocks into smaller particles by the action of wind, water, temperature, and other factors. Now, this weathering is a continuous and a natural process which occurs due to the action of heat, wind, rain, and living organisms. So, on the basis of that, weathering is basically of three types: physical weathering, chemical weathering, and biological weathering. So, now understand what is physical weathering. It is also called as mechanical weathering because it is the breaking down of the big rock particles into smaller sized rock particles with the help of agents like wind, water, or temperature. Now, chemical weathering. This weathering is due to the chemicals, and where these chemicals come from: when rainwater mixes with the gases present in the environment like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, they form acid, and it pours as an acid rain. When this acid rain falls on the surface of rocks, it makes the rocks slightly acidic, and this helps in the weathering of these rocks. Now, biological weathering. We know that the roots of trees, plants, different animals, the microorganisms, they all secrete certain chemicals. And these chemicals are acidic in nature, which contribute to weathering. And this type of weathering, which is done by living organisms, it is called as biological weathering. Now there are few terms related to soil like humus. What is humus? It is the dead and decaying matter in the soil, which gives the soil a darker color. Now let us see this soil formation in a little detail through the diagram. Now this soil formation takes place in different stages. In the first stage, the parent rock, this is the parent rock, and because of the action of the physical and chemical agents, what happens? This bedrock or parent rock gets broken down into smaller size. It develops cracks due to the action of wind, water, and temperature, and also few of the decaying plant and animals and microorganisms. Now in the second stage, these rock particles, they are broken down into smaller sized particles by the action of these physical agents, chemical agents, and also the humus formation starts. The dead and decaying matter starts to accumulate above these rock surfaces. And further, because of this dead and decaying matter has started to accumulate, the more organic matter and mineral particles start accumulating on the top, and the topsoil starts to form. Now, and at the final stage, that is the third stage, the minerals and salt reach the deeper soil surface layers. These are the deeper layers, and the mineral salts, all these start seeping down, and it makes the soil more fertile, and soil gets water and air also. Because for the growth of plants, soil should contain soil, water, soil, air, and in this stage, all these mineral the soil particles are broken down into very fine, the bedrock is broken down into very fine soil particles. Humus continues to accumulate, and mineral particles, they go down into the deeper layers. So in these three stages, the soil formation takes place. Now, composition of the soil. Soil has four main components. First is the parent material, which can be clay, which can be sand or gravel, soil water, soil air, the organic matter or the humus, and along with these components of soil, the soil also contains few microorganisms or insects and minerals also. Now, the layers of soil can be seen if we dig deep into it, like while creating a well or while laying the foundation of building. So, if we observe the areas where we have digged the soil, we can observe clear layers of soil, and these distinct layers of soil, they form the horizon. These are the different horizons, and the soil profile and this vertical section of soil in which we can observe all the layers of soil is called as soil profile. So now let us see the main different horizons. What are the horizons? The different layers of soil. When we cut a vertical section of soil are called as the horizons. So first, the topmost layer or the topsoil is the A horizon. It is the uppermost layer and it is rich in humus. It is a fertile layer of soil and it supports the growth of plants. and it varies from place to place. It can be loomy, it can be clayey, it can be silty, or it can be sandy. Now the second layer of soil. Second layer of soil is the B horizon or the subsoil. And compared to A horizon, this is harder. It contains larger amount of pebbles. The size of the soil particles is larger as compared to the A horizon. And in this soil region, few of the roots of trees and shrubs are there. Basically, mostly the roots are in the A horizon region, but in the B horizon region, few of the roots of trees are there. And if we compare the humus content, humus is more in A horizon and very less in B horizon. But B horizon is very rich in minerals. Now after that comes the C horizon, which is the transition zone, and it is below the subsoil or the B horizon. It contains partially weathered rocks. It contains partially weathered rocks, and it has lots of cracks and crevices. And below that, the lowermost layer is the D horizon or the parent rock or the bedrock. It is the lowermost layer in the soil, and it contains hard rocks which provide the base to the other three layers. So as I have told, A horizon is also called as the topsoil. It is the horizon which is visible to us. It contains more of humus and minerals, and it supports all the growth of plants. And topsoil is the home to many living organisms like insects, worms, beetles, rodents, and moles. Then is the B horizon or the middle layer, which is next to the topsoil, and it does not contain much of humus, but it is rich in minerals. It is lighter in color as compared to A horizon. Now the C horizon, it consists of small rocks and cracks, and these rock particles are mainly the partially weathered rock from the parent rock. Now the bedrock or the D horizon, it is the lowermost layer. It contains larger pieces of rocks that are not weathered and they are not exposed to any wind or water. Now, as I have told that the soil consists of parent material which is of different type like clay, sand, pebbles, etc. On the basis of that, there are different types of soil. Clayey soil, silty soil, sand, and loam. These are the different types of soil. Now let us see sandy soil. Sandy soil has larger particles and they have large air spaces between them. So sandy soil is well aerated, and because of these large spaces, water can easily penetrate through the particles of sand. But this soil cannot hold water. Hence, the sandy soils are light aerated and they are dry in nature. It lacks nutrients, and so it does not support the growth of plant. It is not that good for the growth of plant. Few of the plants can only grow in this soil. Second type of soil is clayey soil. It consists of very fine particles which have less spaces between them, and since there are not much of spaces, the clay soil is not well aerated like sandy soil. These tiny gaps between the particles, they allow absorption of water in the clay soil easy. It holds a lot of water and is suitable for the growth of different kinds of plants. Now, next type of soil is loomy soil. Loomy soil contains a similar amount of large and small particles of soil in them. So, loomy soil has a combination of both type of particles, large and small. it is a combination of sandy clay and silty soil. It also contains humus. It is very rich in humus. It can hold water in appropriate amounts, and therefore it is very good for the growth of plants. And that is why this type of soil is called agricultural soil, because of its fertility and appropriate texture. Now silty soil. The silty soil, in case of silty soil, the particles are smaller in size than the sandy soil, but the particles are larger as compared to the clayey soil. So the size of particles are in between sandy soil and clayey soil. Silty soil can hold water to some extent, and they are generally found near the water bodies like river banks and lakes. They are rich in nutrients, and they are highly fertile and suitable for agriculture. Now let us see properties of soil. The first property of soil is absorption. What is absorption? The ability of a type of soil to absorb or retain water is the absorption capability of soil, or we can call it as the water holding capacity of the soil. And the moisture content of any soil depends on its water holding capacity. Now second property of soil is pore space. So it is the space between the soil particles. Now pore space is very important property of soil, because the water and air content of soil depends on the pore space. And the third property is percolation rate. So percolation can be defined as the property of soil by which it allows the flow of water through it, and the rate at which water percolates or moves through soil may vary in different kinds of soil. Like some soils absorb water more as compared to others. So the formula for the rate of percolation is amount of water percolated divided by the time of percolation. Now soils having a higher water holding capacity will have a low percolation rate. That means they are inversely proportional. This is called as inverse relationship. When something is increasing, the other property is decreasing. This is an inverse relationship. So if the soil has high water holding capacity, that means it has low percolation rate. And if a soil has high percolation rate, then it will have a low water holding capacity. Now what affects the nature of soil? So there are a few factors which affect the soil formation as well as the nature of soil, like the climate. So if the climatic conditions are hard, like wind, rainfall is there, fluctuation of temperature is more, so it will lead to the formation of more cracks in the rocks, and the soil formation will be faster. Second is the landscape. The landscape, like in hills, it facilitates the running down of water, and because of that, it erodes the rocks with larger intensity and causes them to break or crack, and this also affects the formation of soil. In those places where the landscape is such that it erodes the rocks with intensity, the soil formation will be faster. Now, the third property is nature of the parent rock. The soil which is formed will have the similar composition that of parent rock. Like if the parent rock has higher calcium content, then the soil form will also have a higher calcium content, or it will be richer in calcium. Now, soil erosion. What is soil erosion? When the top layer of soil gets removed, it is called as soil erosion. It is a gradual process. Soil erosion is a very slow process, and it occurs due to natural agents like running water, wind, the waves and snow. And it takes away the fertile topsoil, which makes the soil infertile and unsuitable for plant growth. So the soil erosion mainly occurs when soil is left loose without vegetation or when deforestation occurs. In such situations, strong winds and flowing water or rainwater, it takes away the soil and therefore decreases the quality. And because of that, it kills the organisms that are living in the soil. The roots of the plant and trees keep the soil together and allow several microorganisms to grow and survive there. Therefore, it is always advised to plant more trees and avoid deforestation. Why? To prevent soil erosion. Now, as I have told, the soil erosion is caused by deforestation, overgrazing, overcultivation and forest fires. These are the main reasons for or the causes of soil erosion. Apart from that, inappropriate farming techniques are also responsible for the soil erosion, because what happens when we are deep plowing a land or we are plowing it for 2 to 3 times, uh, the soil becomes loose and it is more prone to be taken off by the blowing wind or water. Now, how can we prevent soil erosion? The force of wind and flowing water can be reduced by growing a cover crop. So a cover crop is grown to cover the land after harvesting the main crop. And this cover crop prevents soil from being exposed to wind and flowing water. The force of wind and water can also be reduced by growing trees and shrubs on the boundaries of fields. It is called as shelter belts. And then preventing overgrazing, afforestation, step farming and constructing river embankments can also prevent soil erosion. Now, soil pollution. What is soil pollution? Soil pollution is the presence of unwanted substances in the soil that can be harmful for the living beings. Now, what pollutes the soil? Dumping non-biodegradable substances like plastic bags and polythene causes soil pollution. Waste products from industries which contain chemicals can affect the soil adversely. Excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides pollute the soil and decrease its fertility. So what are the potential pollutants? The non-biodegradable substances like plastics and chemicals, and the fertilizers and pesticides which are used in agriculture, they are also pollutants. Apart from that, the solid waste like metal particles and other large solid pieces, they also pollute the soil. Now, how can we prevent soil pollution? First, by decreasing the solid waste generation. Secondly, the compost improves the quality of soil, and it increases the soil aeration. It helps the soil aerate and soil and air to move more freely. Thirdly, farmers should be encouraged to use biofertilizers, biopesticides and fungicides. These are natural fertilizers and pesticides which do not harm the soil. Next is preventing the use of harmful chemicals. If we will not use the harmful chemicals, they will not degrade the quality of soil. Next is recycling and reusing waste. Not only helps in reducing the felling of trees but also helps in decreasing soil pollution. Then we can plant more trees to prevent soil pollution, and apart from that, measures should also be taken to prevent overgrazing and overcropping as they lead to soil erosion. Soil erosion and soil pollution, they both are interconnected. If we reduce soil pollution, it will lead to reduce soil erosion, and if we prevent soil erosion, it will help in solving the problem of soil pollution. So here we come to the end of the chapter. In this chapter we have studied about soil, how it is formed, what are the different factors which affect the soil quality, the different types of soil, different topics or problems related to soil like soil erosion and pollution, and how can we prevent all these problems, like the solution to these problems. I hope you all have understood the chapter properly. You will revise the chapter properly and you will be able to answer all the questions from this chapter. So thank you, students.